Do you want to create the perfect holiday this year? Let's rethink what perfect really means. This 108th episode is a timely one because it's the time of year where we're feeling more overwhelm and stress. We're trying to do more instead of being more. If you listened to last week's, you know that this one is going to be similar. We're building on this, but we're making it applicable for the holidays. With this week being the end of November, let's get ahead of it by talking right now about 10 tips that's going to help you get through the holiday season, and you're going to be filled with more joy and less stress. Hi, I'm Clarenda Price, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. As a life and weight loss coach, I help women who thrive in so many areas of life, yet they still struggle with weight loss, stress eating, and decreased energy. I teach them how to make lasting changes that go beyond dieting, using simple strategies to get to the root cause of overeating, as well as resetting their hunger hormones, which then makes everything easier and faster. With my science-based process, clients build sustainable habits, and they don't have to spend hours at the gym or relying on willpower. The result is they feel more confident in their clothes and comfortable, and also in their skin. They learn how to have their own back, how to talk to themselves, and all of that leaves them feeling in control and empowered. My current private and group coaching clients are already setting themselves up for December on how they want to show up, on what they want their holiday eating and drinking and sleeping and all the other healthy habits, what they want that to look like. We're planning now. So I thought it would be great to come to you and share these top 10 tips. So let's dive into the first tip so that you can have more joy and less stress. Tip number 1 is define your priorities. Decide ahead of time what is important this time. Reflect on what truly matters. How is it that you want to feel? How do you want to show up for yourself and others? What do you want to remember? And what do you want others to remember? In short, focus on connection and joy and ditch everything else that doesn't align with that. How many have already watched a Hallmark movie? I haven't yet, but I might before the end of the season. But what's important is that we're careful not to romanticize it all and idealize, like, what does a perfect Christmas look like? So do that ahead of time before you get caught up in the movies and all the social things that you're going to be seeing, and think, what does it look like for me? How do I want to feel? Think back to a holiday, to a Christmas, to a New Year's, to a Thanksgiving that you really loved. It was memorable for you. What made it that way? Was it the food? Was it the people? Was it the feeling? Most likely, anything that we remember, we've attached an emotion to it, and that's why it's strong in our memory. So it's not so much of what you did or what was done, it is how you were being, how you were experiencing that. Think of that feeling and then think, how can I recreate that this year? It doesn't have to be the same situation. It doesn't even have to be with the same people. You can create it by what you're thinking about the situation and how you feel, how your state is going into it. And while it's natural to romanticize your past, it's also natural to continue to do what was modeled to you. I remember as a young mom wanting to make everything perfect. And that was even back before social media influence. So I would get up super early and I would do. I just like arrange everything. I guess I was capturing it in pictures and then the older video style. I loved it. I enjoyed it. But by 3:00, I was exhausted. I was done. And that is what I witnessed and watched my mom do for years. And I decided right then, okay, that's enough. I'm going to do the best that I can, but I don't want to miss those moments. And so as we become aware of this, and that's what I'm hoping this episode will help you really think about, then we can course correct. If your memory of a past memorable Christmas was one all surrounded by food, you get to decide, is that what you want again this time? My clients right now, we've been working on how is it going to look for you? And we don't deprive ourselves. We may change things. We're looking at how can we make this healthier. But for this to be sustainable for life, we want to make sure that we're not going through this feeling deprived or in resentment. So there's tips and tricks that you can do to help you through that. And one is, what are you going to pair with that sugar, whatever you're eating that's going to spike your insulin? What if you could add something in that had some fiber in it that would just kind of slow that down, and it wouldn't do the quick up and then the big slump that then is going to prompt you to have more and more? Many are learning to be more intentional, more aware. After 3 bites, they check in. Do I really want more? Will more satisfy me? And really, let's think about it. It's those first 2 to 3 bites that are the most like the explosion in your mouth. Can that be enough? So not feeling deprived, but decreasing your serving size, that can help. And whether you go back for seconds or not. Tip number 2 is communicate early. Check in with whoever's going to be around you, whoever may have an expectation that you're going to be at their table or they're going to be at your table, and ask them, what are you wanting the holidays to look like this year? Let them know what works for you. Maybe there's a change this year. So communicate that early so they don't have an expectation. We've already set our budget and have talked loosely about dinner plans, which we will tighten that up as we go along. But that's so that I don't overbuy groceries. If we know what the plan is, then come the 26th, 27th, there's not a ton of food left in the house. I've conveyed that the main feelings I want to feel this year are relaxed and connected. So as much as I would love to try all these new recipes that I'm seeing, even though I'm not a big loving cook, I do love to eat and I love to have the more healthified versions. But what I've chosen to do is I'm going to do 1 or 2. That will still feel relaxing and enjoyable, especially if I'm doing it with one other person. But if I have to do 3 or 4 all in a row, I know myself well enough to know that will not feel relaxing to me. This might be the year that you rethink your Christmas traditions. You may want to keep everything the same, but maybe going to one in-laws and then your parents or your grandparents, maybe all of that is not only stressful for you, but the kids just start to play and you're saying, nope, we have to go here. I know Mom and her wisdom, and really, when I look back on it, it's quite unselfish. She said to me, make your Christmases at your own place. As soon as Brianna was born, that's what we started to do. So Mom and Dad came down every other year, and then the alternate years would be with the other side of the family. And even then, we would have our Christmas at home and then go out for the big family dinner or have them at our place. That leads into tip number 3, which is simplify traditions. Choose 1 or 2 traditions that you all love, your favorites, and then decide on that. If we try to do everything every year, that's when it can become overwhelming. That's when we're missing just the being moments in all of the doing. So if, yes, a sleigh ride is important to you and we have snow, then plan that. But if it feels like, again, or it's just a duty, have a conversation with everyone. Say, how about every other year? Or make a different decision that you're going to like as well and stick to it and be open to it. It's new experiences. Bree never wants to miss the candlelight service, and I'm thankful for that because that's one of my favorite things to do at Christmas time. It really helps me to just relax and breathe and take it in and reflect on the real reason for the season. I just love looking to one side and then the other and feeling so connected and full of gratitude. And I just find that's very grounding and a great way to go into the busier day of Christmas. Another idea you might like is my friends Mike and Brenda. They do a pretty cool idea. When their kids became young adults, they decided, let's draw names, and that includes Mike and Brenda themselves. They pick a name, and whoever name they get, they fill their stocking with things that are pretty cool, pretty neat. So not just toothbrushes, although toothbrushes, I believe, are included, but things that they know that person would love. And that's it. Now they have 2 grandkids, so I think they probably will get bought for, but I haven't checked in on that. So that just cut back the stress. That still created excitement. There's still lots that you can wrap each thing that goes in that stocking, but you're not spending as much. You're not wasting as much as in getting things that you really don't need. They're very intentional on that. So anyway, I thought that was a cool idea. Number 4 is set a realistic budget. So when you think of having more experiences over gifts, over things, that's appealing as well to me. As I mentioned earlier, it could be the sleigh ride that you're enjoying. Maybe you're going to get new toboggans and you're taking the kids out for sliding or new skates. Whatever it is, think about when kids get too many things. They open it and then you're saying, oh, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. And they don't even have time to stop and truly enjoy what they're opening. That can even be overwhelming to kids and they don't know where to start or what to do or even what they got for Christmas. So avoid financial stress by having a clear budget, having a clear financial plan for how you want to move through the holidays. As I mentioned, Brie and I have done that. Brian and I have talked about that. I think it's just going to make it so we don't have these expectations of these huge gifts coming our way. And it's more about the connection, the time together. Another thing that took me years to really learn this is I painstakingly love to wrap gifts and make them so beautiful and creative. Not quite as well as my sister, but I think we had this kind of little thing like I wanted to make sure where she gives me such a beautifully wrapped gift that I was able to reciprocate. We admired each other's wrapping or the bows, the shiny paper, anything that we added on. We like to add a little gift on the top. So now I do one gift that way, if they're lucky. And the others are either in a gift bag or just wrapped with regular paper. That has really cut back on feeling exhausted because I remember thinking, if I wrap one more gift like this. And I think the last time that I did that, when it changed really was back 2016, so 8 years ago. It was the year my dad passed, and I was wrapping gifts when I got the call to go up. And that just really reset everything. And I was like, really? Is this really important? One of my besties came over. She called and said, hey, have you wrapped your gifts yet? She came. We wrapped them. I was really feeling like I was just going through the motions. And I realized that connection time, that time with her being there and feeling supported, that was the best gift of all over any of the gifts that I received that year. Hear me, there's nothing wrong. Some people, that's a gift they have to wrap beautifully. I wouldn't say that was my gift, but I put extra time and effort to do it. And it was from love, but also there was a sense of pride that was in there. Again, nothing wrong with it unless you're feeling like this is too much or I'm exhausted, because we want to get through this while maintaining our energy reserves. And there's nothing like a homemade gift. But let's face it, homemade gifts take more energy, more time, more love. And if we have that time, or if we can make that time and move things around, great, do it. But if you can't, it might be that next year you're going to think, I'm going to start a little bit earlier to try to do this. We've all stayed up with last minute preparations, and that's okay if it's for a short term. But if we're burning the candle on both ends, as they say, for too long, then we're going to miss feeling the way we want to feel at Christmas. Number 5 is practice saying no. Often around this time of the year, there are so many invites, there are so many opportunities, there's so many things we think we should do or we don't want to miss out on. But really check in and say, this year, is that what I want? Is that how I want to spend that time? Or do I want to say no to this so I can say yes to what I really want to do? And that might simply be just time to do nothing, to stay home, to recharge, to get in the tub and just say, this is my night. I just want to stare at the Christmas lights and zone out. That's taking care of your well-being. So number 6 is delegate and share tasks. Write down everything that you can think of, just like do a thought dump. And say, what is it that needs to be done? Make your list. Things like the turkey dinner, break it down. That's so important to see what needs to be done and then looking back through it and say, okay, what do I want to do? What can I delegate to someone else? And then what can I simply let go of this year? And just cross it off the list. I tell you, when you take the time to do that, it's going to give you some relief. It's also going to be a good conversation starter. You can sit down at the table with your family and say, this is what it looks like in order to create what we think is our picture perfect Christmas. And I can't do it alone. I can't do it all. I need some help. What is it on here that either you don't care if we do or you know you can help out? Now, some things we may think we're the only ones that can do it. So check in. And it's the only way it can be done perfectly. That's when you have to decide, am I willing for it to be haphazardly done, or am I willing for it to be just not quite as pretty looking as what I would do? And decide if you're okay with that. The other decision is sometimes there's things that really only you can do, like truly. And so you would feel an obligation that that's what I have to do. An example could be if you're a crocheter or a knitter and no one else in the family can do that, and yet that's been a request. Well, do that if that's what you want to do. And sometimes what we want to do isn't like, oh, I'm excited to do it. It's, no, I want that for the end result. I want that because I want to give from love. I want to do that. I know it's going to make them happy or they need it. But then look at what else. If you're going to be doing that, what is something that someone else can do? And ask. No one can read our minds. No one's coming to save us, usually. So we have to take responsibility and ask for what we need. Again, if you're feeling stressed, then ask, what's a priority? What's necessary? What can I just totally take off my list? I think that sums it up, because you will end up doing what really matters. You'll end up doing what aligns with your values. Oftentimes, it's the woman, just going to say, that is really like the steadfast anchor, the rock, the planner when it comes to holidays like this. Let's move on to tip number 7, schedule you time. So block off time in your schedule, in your day, in this month of what and when you're going to take that time to just replenish, to recharge. It doesn't have to be a long period of time. Even 10 minutes of solitude, no one talking to you, no one calling your name. Lock yourself in the bathroom and do some nice, long, deep breaths. That'll stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. That's just going to allow you to breathe and be in the moment instead of go, go, go and in the doing. If you can get out for a walk, if you can reset in nature, I know it's cold, but bundle up. You'll be so happy that you do afterwards. I love, and I think many of you listening love just having that candlelit bathtub. It's worth not just getting in the bath or the shower, but creating a little ambiance, put some music on, some quiet, some solitude. If you have noise all around you, you probably don't even want music. You just want to be. The best gift you can give yourself and others is presence, not presents. So your presence, your energy, your being, your peace and calm and joy and love, that's what's going to be remembered. That's what's going to radiate and just pour into others. Think about it. Who wants a grumpy or a moody mom or wife or an exhausted grandma? No, those kids just want you to play and get down on the floor and be excited with them and throw your stuff on and go outside and enjoy the snowfall. The dishes can wait, or someone else can do those dishes while you get to play. Don't try to be the martyr. Don't be the victim. You have to take responsibility. We have to ask for what we need. Tip number 8 is focus on presence, as in PRESENCE, over perfection. So let go of that picture of the picture perfect holiday. All the social media posts that's going to happen, if you enjoy doing them, do it. If you see me posting on social media, it's because I'm feeling inspired, I'm enjoying it, I have some time by myself while the others are doing something. I want to capture it and remember it and maybe inspire others with it. That's great. But if you're posting, check in. Why am I posting this? I love creating memories and putting them in the Facebook memories, in the albums. I love when they pop up. Sometimes they're painful. When my dad's pop up, it's a beautiful but also a little painful. And that's okay. I'm still thankful that those pop up. So I will continue to do that, whether it's on that day, but hopefully, like I'm already behind in the summer ones. There's so many pictures I haven't posted that I need to soon dump them in there. But anyway, let's see, what else? In regards to perfection, what is it that you're thinking is magical? It's not always being perfect, right? It's how you're showing up right now. It's the belly laughs that happen, the laughs where you start to cry. It's some of the bloopers that happen. That's not perfection, but guess what? That's what some of the memories will be. Remember, Mom, when this happened? Remember, Dad, when that turkey, you ended up basting it and then forgetting to put it back in the oven? Remember that? Yeah, those are the memories we laugh about later. Another thing that comes to mind is decorating. As beautiful as it is to decorate everywhere, I'm really rethinking this year because I know January is my busy season. And it's when so many of you are like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready, Clarinda. How can you help me? What do you have to offer? And I want to be fully charged for you. So I don't know how much I'll decorate this year. I'm not sure if I'll do my bedroom or not. I do love my bedroom decorated, but not if it's going to stress me out because I'm away for a while too. So I'm just gradually doing it. I'm actually getting ahead again and I'm starting a little bit earlier. But I'm not going to let the perfection get in the way and have me feeling exhausted or burnout come Christmas. Give yourself permission to do less if that's what you need and focus on quality over quantity, and that brings satisfaction as well. Number 10 is embrace flexibility. Things won't always go well, right? I think we kind of covered that in saying the bloopers that happen. There will be unexpected things happen. For some, it's going to be a big change from previous holidays because they've lost a loved one. Maybe they've lost their job. Maybe their kids moved away and they're not going to be able to see them. There's so many changes that can happen. So we need to be flexible. We need to look at how can I make this still memorable? And maybe it won't be an exciting, fun Christmas, but maybe it can still have some joy and peace and calm in it. Maybe it's okay for it to just be a sad Christmas this year. Still look for ways and look for things that can brighten your day. But also, if you're in the midst of grieving, don't resist that. Let it happen. Don't try to just push it away because you'll end up buffering on things like overeating and overspending and overdrinking and overworking, overwatching, all the things that we overdo and that will be detrimental to our health later. So be where you're at. Feel what you can. And also, let's all be very aware of those in our circle who may also be alone, who may be grieving, and notice that, recognize that, and see what we can do to help make their day a little brighter and to fill up their cup. I've been there. I've had that kind of a Christmas, really 2 different times, 2016 and again in 2018 to a degree. That's when my dad had passed. There was lots of great things happening as well in my life. But it was still, there was time for pause. There was time to reminisce and remember and feel the sadness, feel the grief, feel all the emotions. But then also look for ways that can still fill you up. For some, it might be, okay, I'm alone, but I'm going to see if I can serve, if I can volunteer in some way, whether that be at the church or at the local shelter or at the community kitchen, any of those things that can make you feel like you're serving others, because when you're giving and serving others, yeah, that can't help but help you feel a little bit better. As we wrap up this episode, I want you to think about if you could choose one word, what word would it be to describe how you want to feel this Christmas? In fact, let's go with for the month of December. How do you want to see that month flow? Maybe it is in flow. Maybe it is ease. Maybe it is peace. Maybe it's love. And everything you do, you ask, is this coming from love or is it coming from obligation? Is it coming from love because I love to please people, or am I trying to be a people pleaser? Difference? If you've watched 4 of my past episodes or listened to, you'll know what I mean. And here's the good news. If you're the planner in the family, if you're the one that's going to be planning the event, then you get to decide. You get to decide what's going to happen this year and what's not. You can ask for input depending on your response. Again, you can decide. How do you want to look back and remember this Christmas? If you're numbing out in order to get through it, if you're needing like tons of coffee or sugar or alcohol or anything just to get through the holidays, if you know that and if you think that's how it is in the past, do not repeat the same thing that you did the last year. Just pause, think about this, re-listen to this episode if you need to, take notes, go to the blog, whatever, and make some decisions and set yourself up for a joyful and a peaceful Christmas. I'd love to hear one tip, even if it's one tip from these tips that you're going to apply, that you're like, yeah, I needed to hear that. That really resonated with me. Or maybe you have one that you're like, ooh, I wish she would talked about this because this really works for me. I'd love to hear from you. You can comment below if you're watching this on YouTube, or just send me a message, comment on one of my social media posts, tag me so that I know. And if you post this to your stories, again, tag me so I can then share yours to my stories. Also, this past week marked 2 years of the podcast. So if you are feeling like, ooh, this was helpful for me, and you're thinking of someone, if right now someone's popping into your mind, share it. It's the best gift you can give them so that they too can get ahead of schedule and plan it out and be deliberate. If you want to get a plan in place for January, if you want to say, I know what I'm doing come January, and you want that peace of mind as well, I'm going to put the complimentary 20-minute consult in the show notes. So we can get on there, we can talk together about where you want to go, where you're at now, and then who or what would help you get there. Whether that's me or someone else, I think you'll end feeling like, okay, I've got this. I know what my next step is. Thank you for listening, for sharing and rating and reviewing. I so appreciate it. If you want more holiday content, you can find it in episodes 5, 6, 55, and 56. Okay, until next week, let's put a plan in place so that we can just feel so good and enjoy every moment of this Christmas season. And for some of you in the US, and you're listening to this currently, you have Thanksgiving coming up this weekend. So until next time, let's focus on what truly matters, because we want more joy, connection, and love this holiday season.